On the morning of March 18, 1964, 9-year-old Maurice Ann Chivarella left home for school. She was carrying canned goods to give to her teacher that morning at St. Joseph's Parochial School in Hazleton, Pennsylvania. She had 4 siblings and typically would walk to school with them. But on this day, because she wanted to get to school early and give the canned goods to her teacher, she walked alone, unfortunately, and never made it. In the afternoon of that same day, a man was giving his 16-year-old nephew driving lessons when they spotted what they initially thought was a large doll in a coal mining pit, but soon realized it was a young girl's body and called police. It just makes me think, if you're driving and you see what you think is a doll or a mannequin, check it out or call authorities to check it out, because so often, such a common theme, when a body's found and someone assumed it was a doll or whatnot and took a closer look, and not a doll. Unfortunately, it was Maurice. She had been kidnapped, raped, and murdered by strangulation. And despite months of investigation, authorities got no meaningful leads, and this case went as cold as it gets. Over 50 years cold, 54 years before any advancements in the case happened. And that was thanks to technology yet again, and genealogy coming in to save the day. Finally, in 2018, authorities teamed up with Paraben Nano Labs, a DNA technology and genetic genealogy company, and things start to move forward from there. In 2019, the company shared the DNA profile with genealogical databases. Then authorities began to work with a young college student who became obsessed with this case and wanted to do everything that he could to help. Eric Schubert, who was 18 at the time and was going to Elizabethtown College, stepped in and started to help. And together, they collected DNA from Maurice's clothing, a semen sample, and uploaded it to genealogical databases. And this led to a connection. They connected that DNA profile to a distant cousin of the perpetrator. And after nearly 58 years, it was announced earlier this year in 2022 that they had identified the killer of young Maurice, and his name was James Paul Forte. And February 12th, 2022 is when they announced this, and he had lived, they found out, only 6 or 7 blocks from this young girl and had no known relationship with her, was not related to her. He just was a local creep in the area, saw an opportunity with this young girl walking alone to school and snatched her up. They got approval following figuring out that it was him to exhume his body. And I say that because, unfortunately, with these decades-old, long, cold cases, you don't get justice because these guys are long dead. And in this case, he was dead for over 40 years by the time that they finally figured out it was him. So he lived, thankfully, he died young from a heart attack in 1980. While working at a bar, he had a heart attack at only 38 years old. All we can hope for was that it was painful, but not even close to getting justice. I mean, you're talking 40 years ago he died, unfortunately. And this guy had quite a lengthy record. He had never been married and had no known children. He was arrested in 1974 for an unrelated case on charges of involuntary, deviant sexual intercourse and sexual assault, which to me just sounds like rape. That sounds like a really lengthy way of saying rape. He was given a plea deal for the less serious conviction of aggravated assault and sentenced to 1-year probation. Then he was arrested again 4 years later in 1978 on charges of reckless endangerment and harassment. But like I said, unfortunately, genealogy, although it did give some closure to whoever was left, family-wise with this young girl in such an old case, her parents, I'm sure, are gone, and many connected to her are gone and never got to know who killed their baby. It's tragic, but at least now, that name is ruined. Not that he had a very prestigious name with quite the lengthy record that he had, but at least now there is some closure on the books. And genealogy is closing cases like this every day, and it's hard not to cover these cases because it's just good to see that finally, we're finding out who did these heinous crimes so long ago. That's my case for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you for the next one.
You hush your mouth, boy.